Hey guys, it's Madison, and today I'm going to get a perm in Korea for the very first time. I've gotten my haircut in Korea a few times and it's always turned out well, but these days I'm feeling like a little bit of a bigger change is in order. Definitely I've been long overdue for a cut, but this time I thought, I'm tired of having to curl my hair every day to have it look good for work. And so I thought, let's try to get a perm that kind of does what I have to do to my hair every day, if that's possible. So actually, my hair is looking decent right now. This is actually the third day of curls. I just kind of like refresh this very front section every day, but like the rest of it is just kind of 3-day-old curled hair that I did a few days ago. But yeah. All right, I headed outside because someone came into the office to actually do some work. So I didn't want to bother them by talking to my camera. So yeah, I am outside about to walk over my appointments in about 15 minutes. It's about a 5-minute walk from here, so off to my appointment.
Feel like falling deeper. Cold nights 난 너무 싫어. 기다리기에는 너무 길어. 줬던 내 사랑이 식어. 기대만 하는 것도 난 힘들어. No, I can't, just can't. 가져 내 마음을, 놔줘 내 가슴을 다 바쳐 사랑하기에. 자신이 너무 걱정돼 바보 같은 생각이야. 알아 멍청해.
So this is my hair now. I am not terribly happy with the results. It is currently Saturday, and I got the perm on Monday, so it took me quite a few days to even be able to kind of film this part of the video in a good headspace. I actually filmed Monday night, about 5 hours after the perm, but I was not in a good headspace and it ended up being just a 16-minute rant about my hair. And that's not the way I really wanted to end this video. So here I am again for take 2 of the ending of this video. But yes, this is my hair currently. You'll notice it is very curly, which is not what I was thinking was going to happen on Monday. So going into the salon on Monday, my primary goal, the hair I was wanting to have, was kind of a version of what I was already doing to my hair on a daily basis. So my hair was kind of mostly straight naturally, and I had some waves slash curls on this side and not really any on this side. So naturally I have half wavy, half straight hair. And so what I would do most days is curl my hair. I would curl it on the day that I washed it, and then I would kind of just leave those curls there for 2 or 3 days, maybe refresh the curls on a daily basis. And so I had kind of these loose wave curls down at the bottom of my hair, and that is how I like to wear my hair. And so I was hoping to have that as the perm, just these loose kind of curls slash waves in my hair that I wouldn't have to spend time curling my hair in the morning or refreshing the curls in my hair. I wanted to make my early morning get ready routine easier and have easy hair was my goal. Just the hair I kind of already was doing to myself just more naturally. So that was my goal, to have easy hair. Keep that in mind because this, I don't know if you guys have ever had curly hair before, but when you have curly hair, it's not really that easily manageable. You can't really touch it that much. You can't brush it or else it gets really curly and frizzy. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So on the day of getting this perm, I was really kind of shocked at the results that I ended up getting. But looking back, I could kind of see where my communication was kind of lacking. So I think it was a combination of my fault and also the hairstylist's fault. I don't think that either one of us are blameless. Monday's rant was kind of throwing a lot of shade at the hairstylist, but looking back with better hindsight, I can see where I either didn't communicate my goals effectively or said things that I maybe did not mean at the time. But I also do still think that the hairstylist also holds some fault in my hair turning out like this instead of how I wanted. So let's start at the beginning. I walk in, sit in the chair, and she says, "What do you want?" And I say, "I want a perm." She's like, "Okay, well, first of all, your hair is really badly damaged." And this kind of took me aback because like I knew I had some like split ends and stuff, but she basically said, "Okay, your hair is damaged up to here. So if you wanted to have totally healthy hair, you'd have to cut up to here." And I was like, so I'm not doing that. I'm not cutting that much hair. And honestly, I'm not sure that my hair is actually that damaged because I feel like I would have heard that from hairdressers before. Like I'm not doing anything markedly different these days than I have for the last few years. I may be curling my hair slightly more often, but I'm not putting enough heat on it for it to totally trash my hair that much. So I'm still honestly kind of questioning the hairdresser on that point. But anyway, she's so very quickly taken aback and wondering, is my hair that damaged, or is it just her not being used to my type of hair, which is a very real possibility since I imagine that she might have worked on some foreigners before, but I imagine that she's not working on my kind of hair on a very regular basis. And so in my head, I'm kind of thinking, okay, I haven't brushed my hair since this morning. I came here straight after work and it's pretty tangly at this point. And since my hair is thinner than Asian hair and also quite tangly, I imagine that for the average Asian hair to be this tangly feeling so easily, it must probably be pretty damaged. But this is just my hair normally. And so I was kind of like, okay, I'm gonna kind of discount that part of her statement. And the next thing she says to me is, well, you know, foreigner hair, this is all in Korean by the way, but she's like, you know, foreigner hair doesn't hold perms as well as Asian hair. And I'm thinking, is that true? I don't know if it's true or not. Now I did do some research afterwards, by the way, but it does seem that like the digital perm that they use in Korea that was I think invented in Korea does actually work better. It lasts longer for Asian hair than white hair apparently. But at the time I was just the way she was phrasing it so hardcore, like, well, you know, foreigner hair like can't hold curls. And I was like, you know, I've had perms before. Now, to be fair, they were in America and they were very tight perms. And I mentioned that to her. She's like, have you had perms before? I said, yes, I've had it perm twice. And she's like, do you have a picture? And I showed her my junior high picture. I'll put it on the screen now of where I had a very tight perm. Not actually this very dissimilar from this one, ironically. A little bit tighter than this and a little bit more up. And she was like, oh my God. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty curly. And I don't want that. I don't want that again. I don't want this. And she was like, yeah, whoo, that's a perm there. And so I thought we were kind of on the same page of how we were thinking about perms. But she keeps kind of talking about how, well, you know, foreigner hair just doesn't really hold perms very well. It probably won't last very long, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, I just showed you the picture of my perm though, and I told you it lasted quite a while. I was very confused this whole time. Right from the beginning, I was put on my heels quite a bit because she was like, your hair is like trash damaged. And I'm like, oh, what? I don't think it is. And then she's also like, and you know, foreigner hair can't hold curl. And I'm like, but it can though. And I think that right off the bat, bewilderment is a key factor in why my communication was so bad, because I was just right from the get-go kind of thrown off my game and nervous and tentative and anxious because I was kind of questioning what she was saying, but didn't want to question her authority. And you know, I was battling, like, I'm like, I think my hair does hold curl fine. It has in the past. Is this like a different situation? And then also I was like, well, she is a hairstylist and, you know, she has a lot more experience with hair than me. Maybe not foreigner hair, but still hair. I don't know. So I was kind of having this battle in my head. And because of that, I was not able to as effectively communicate my thoughts to her. Also, by the way, sorry about this lighting. I know it's not the best lighting. I'm using natural lighting and it is super gloomy outside right now, actually. So it's not as bright as I was hoping, but hopefully you guys can still see the level of curls going on in my hair right now. But anyway, so she's like, okay, we'll talk through if you want a perm or not, but for now, let's go ahead and do the haircut because you want your hair cut a little bit, right? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, how much? I'm like, oh, like this much. She ends up cutting more like this much, which, you know, for someone who's always very tentative about haircuts, I was like, so much hair. But that turned out to be the least of my problems. Whatever, hair grows back, but I didn't realize that this was coming. So if I had known, I would have been totally fine with a little bit extra being cut off when she was doing the haircut. But as she's doing the haircut, she's like, so what kind of perm are you imagining? And I say, I'm thinking a S curl perm or a CS curl perm. And these are terms that I had seen used on like Korean hair salon pictures that I've been looking through. including the pictures that I was looking through from this particular salon when I was choosing this particular hairstylist. And so I was thinking, oh yeah, so I want either a CS perm, which I'll show some pictures now. This is a CS style perm, or an S curl perm. S is called S because it kind of looks like an S in the hair, and then C, it refers to like when the end is very curly, and so CS kind of has the ends being extra curled plus like the S curl. Anyway, so I was thinking CS curl perm or S curl perm. She's like, well, do you have a picture of what you want? And I'm like, yes, I do. And so I pull up this picture and show it to her. And I say, I was thinking something subtle like this in Korean, like, I don't remember what I said exactly, but something like, 이렇게 살짝. And she's like, 너무 살짝인데? Like, oh, that's too subtle, like for your type of hair. And I'm like, I don't think I said anything, but I was just very confused. Like, what about my hair means I can't have subtle curls? I don't know. If you know why she's saying this, please explain in the comments. I guess she just thinks if foreigner hair can't hold curl, then like the more subtle the curl, the more likely it's just gonna fall out. I guess is what she's thinking. And I guess that makes sense, but I don't know. Anyway, so she's like, oh, 너무 살짝인데? And I'm like, so like, it's what I want. I don't think I actually said anything to her, but like in my head, I'm like, this is what I want. And so I kind of look at her and she's like, well, what we can do is we can do a test strand on your hair. And I'm like, okay, that sounds like a good idea. Let's do a test strand on my hair. And at this point, I thought we were still on the same page about the picture being the goal. I don't think that was the case, but from this point onwards, I am thinking that we were both thinking about this picture as the goal for my hair. But as it turns out, that was not the case. So as she finishes cutting my hair, her assistant does a test strand on my hair with the perm solution, that familiar scent of terrible perm solution. She goes ahead, does one strand, kind of in the middle back, and then after like, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes, she uncurls it and shows it to me. And I'm thinking, ha, it's curled. So I'm very much focused. I thought this is a test of, will my hair curl or not? And so I'm thinking at this point, success, the hair has been curled. And so she's like, what about this? Does this look okay? This kind of style. And keep in mind, this is like one strand of hair, probably like this big. And so she kind of lifts up this, and it was a little more, it was wet at the time, and it was a little bit more like of a defined curl, but like, it was kind of a wet curl that she held up. I was like, is this look good? And again, I can't emphasize enough, it was a bigger curl than this right now is currently. I think it was the same size rod, but it did not look like this. It was kind of a wet, kind of curling around itself piece of curl. And at this point, I'm not thinking to analyze the type of curl it is to figure out that's the type of curl I want. Because like I said, I thought we were both working towards the goal of the picture. So I'm not trying to see, oh wait, is that the style of curl I was looking for? I was thinking, look, it curled. And so when she says, so do you want this? I say, yes. And that was my biggest responsibility in this whole thing, is I gave the okay on what she was about to do to my hair. And so she starts going ahead and doing the perm solution. And I recall thinking at the time, wow, those perm rods are pretty small. The perm rods are what they wrap their hair around. And I was like, wow, I wonder how we're going to get those curls that I pictured from this small curl rod. But again, I thought we were both working towards the same picture, the same goal. So I didn't think to question it at the time. Also, she asked me, so do you want it just at the ends or all of it? And I'm pretty sure, I don't recall exactly what I said, but I'm pretty sure I said just at the ends or like the picture or something like that. I definitely didn't say all the way up, but somehow we got all the way up. And again, as she was doing the rods, I should have, because she wasn't saying like how far, like as she was curling it, she asked a little bit earlier. But I'm pretty sure I said something like just the ends, or mostly this the ends, or like just down here. I don't think I did like this motion. And yeah, it's definitely getting a little dark. Let me turn on the light. All right, I'm not sure that lighting is any better at this point. It's kind of a weird angle. Let me add my computer light too. Here we go. A little bit brighter. Not great. I'm looking a little shiny now, but whatever. Deal with it. This is a bad hair video, bad lighting video. It's just gonna be bad all around. All right, I also added another lamp here. It makes my face a little shinier, but at least you can see me now. So where was I? So anyway, there's a lot of signs that I should have seen coming. They seem really obvious now in hindsight, but at the time, like I said, I thought we were working towards this picture. Apparently we were thinking two different things in our head. And so as she starts taking out the curling rods, I'm seeing the nature of the curls and I'm starting to have a little internal panic. But because I have like social anxiety and don't like to burden other people, I worked very hard to not let any of my emotions show on my face. I was just kind of like, what's happening? What have I done to myself? But yeah, I start seeing these like curls come out as they do like the last little round of magical machinery. Which by the way, they have some interesting machines in there. Yeah, I'm like looking at these curls and I'm like, oh God, hopefully this turns out okay. And then she starts blow drying it after washing it out. And she starts talking. And I just start panicking more and more while externally being very blank, honestly. But inside I'm like, oh my God. She's like, yeah, so like make sure like when you're blow drying it, and she's like, make sure you kind of twist all your hair into like this while you're blow drying it so that it doesn't get all frizzy, and try not to touch it as much as you can. Just kind of maybe comb it with your fingers a little bit, but like don't brush it whatever you do, and try to avoid touching it because it'll get kind of frizzy and like yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, all I wanted was easy to manage hair that I wouldn't have to do anything to in the morning. I obviously did not communicate that well to her because I have gotten like the most difficult to manage hair that you can have. I mean, obviously tighter curls are even more difficult, but I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't want to have to worry about how I touch my hair in the morning. I want to just blow dry and go. I don't want to have to delicately blow dry and like not touch and twist a certain way. I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And then she says, yeah, well, you know, because it's foreigner hair, I did it a little bit stronger than usual, like the curls. And I was like, now you tell me? Thank you. I didn't want that. I mean, I didn't say that. I was just like, at the time. And she's like, yeah, don't worry. In a few days, it'll look prettier. I'm like, oh, that's what you really want to hear at the hair salon. Don't worry, it'll look better. I know it looks terrible now, but it'll look better. And she's like, yeah, it'll start kind of relaxing a little bit more after a few days. This is Saturday now, so it's been 5 days, and it's not any more relaxed than it was. In fact, today I let it just naturally dry completely. I didn't touch it with a blow dryer, and it's honestly looks even curlier than it did at the salon because she kind of did extra stuff at the salon like I usually do, kind of like making like this part kind of more blown out and straight, so kind of like zoom in the front and not so curly, but so all in all, my fault in the situation was I clearly did not clearly communicate my goals. I did not state clearly enough, hey, I want easy to manage, very, very slightly curled hair. And I didn't state clearly enough, no matter how little my hair lasts. Because even after she said, so this is what we'll do, she's like, just be aware, it might not last as long as Koreans. I was like, how long do you think it'll last? And she's like, oh, around 3 months, maybe, for your kind of hair. And I was like, that's still a decent amount of time. And so I was like, okay, that's fine then, thinking I was gonna get, the picture. So my fault, like I said, was not clearly enunciating, regardless of how well my hair takes it, or that kind of stuff. This is the style that I'm wanting. Are you going to do this style on my hair? I should have been more clear about that. I should have been more socially aware, I guess, and been like, when I thought, hey, these are surprisingly thin rods, I should have been like, are these rods gonna get those curls? I should have kind of clarified that. I should have paid more attention to the style of the test strand curl and pictured it better on my whole head. I couldn't imagine that on my whole head and didn't realize it would be this on my whole head. So I do have responsibility. I didn't clearly communicate, and I ultimately said, yes, I want that on my head. And so she did it on my head. Her responsibility, I think, was also maybe a lack of communication. Like, she didn't say beforehand, I'm gonna do a stronger curl than that photo. She did say like, oh, that might be too subtle when I showed her the photo. But I do feel like when I clearly showed her one photo and said I want a CS or S style perm, she never said, so I'm not going to give you that kind of perm. I'm going to give you, it's going to look like this. She kind of just showed me one strand and was like, is this okay? And I couldn't figure out how that would look. So I kind of feel like, given the photo that I showed her and what I did communicate to her, although not very solidly, I think what I ended up with is so far from what the photo was that I feel like she should have been a little bit more clear with how the overall picture was going to look in the end. So I think we both have responsibility. The learning point for all of you out there is, if you happen to get a perm ever, make sure you are very clear about what you want, and very clear that if you show a photo, you only want that photo. And if they can't do that, then that's fine. But like, make sure you're on the same page that like the photo you show is what they are actually going to do before you do it. And honestly, like I said, this is the third perm I've gotten. I got one in middle school, one before I started college, and one now. So this might just be a trend where every 5 or 10 years I have a hair crisis and think I need a perm and just make bad decisions. But this is what I have now. It's really sad, honestly. Like, okay, by the way, I don't think this is bad looking hair. I don't think this is bad looking. It's fine for a, like, I have naturally curly hair kind of a look, but that's not what I was wanting. It's just very different than what I wanted. I wanted this. I got this. Therefore, I'm unhappy. I wanted easy to handle hair. I wanted to reduce the amount of time I'd have to spend on my hair in the morning, and I got more difficult to manage hair, more sensitive hair, and I had to pay for it, and, you know, doing a perm is damaging to your hair, so I damaged my hair and got a worse result and spent money on it. So that is why I'm unhappy. I don't think it looks bad. It's just not what I wanted. That's what I'll say. I will say she was very nice. The hairstylist was very nice. I liked her a lot. She had great fashion. She was very kind. It's just, I don't know how we ended up getting to this from where we were, but yeah. So yeah, this is where I currently stand with my hair after having spent around 150 bucks on a perm. That's with a discount because I left a review. That place is doing a event, as they call it. So I got like 35 or 50% off the perm. So at least there's that. At least it was cheaper than it could have been. But my colleague at work mentioned that they have something called like AS, after service, and that Korean salons are usually pretty good, that if you have a complaint or dissatisfaction with your hair, that they will, they're usually willing to kind of help you fix it to a certain degree. But I have so much social anxiety that just the idea of going back and having to complain to the person's face that I don't like what happened to my hair is such a stressful idea to me. Like, even when I was like horrified at the result when it first happened, I was like, oh my God, it's so curly. I was like very careful to be like, I can't let them know that I'm not happy. Like, even though my hair was being, you know, in my head at the time, ruined, I was like, oh no, I have to act like I'm fine. Why is that? Why do people do that? But I hate letting people know that I'm not satisfied with them. I'd rather like just be horrified in my head and just so I'm thinking about doing that. I might try to bring her with me because she's a native Korean speaker, and even though I'm fluent in Korean, like when I already have social anxiety, adding Korean to that is just not a good mix usually. So if it's kind of a chill situation, I'm fine like not having a native speaker with me, but I might like bring her along so that I can be like, here's all my bullet points. When I get stressed, my head just empties. Can you just like say all these things for me, and then I'll be there like hear what they say, hear what options I have, and then decide from there. But will you be my emotional support human for this process? So I'm thinking about doing that. I'm not sure. It's livable. It's fine. Like I said, it doesn't look bad. It just doesn't look like I wanted it to look. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, I think my hair looked a lot better before I went into the salon than it does now. So I paid money, damaged my hair, and ultimately got worse hair out of the process. So don't be like me. Don't get a perm, probably. But if you do, make sure that your expectations are aligned with what the hairstylist is going to do. Double, triple, quadruple check, especially if there's a language barrier, especially if you're flustered like I was in the moment. And yeah, also, by the way, I'm not sure if I made this clear or not earlier, but all those photos that I showed and the photo that I showed her at the time was done by the same hairstylist. So I know she's capable of doing these hairstyles and does them all the time. That's why I selected her in the first place. But yeah, somehow here I am. I feel like this is just always what happens to me whenever I try to do anything exciting to my hair. It goes downhill. But yeah, now I have very frizzy, very curly hair. We'll see if I end up getting after service done and undoing this, or if I just kind of deal with it as it is for the next 3 months-ish, as she predicted. But that's all for now, I guess. And until next time, 안녕.
Feel like falling deeper. Cold nights 난 너무 싫어. 기다리기에